All right, hello, my name is Tim, otherwise known as Tim_nutrition coach on Instagram. Making this video, I was going to say short video, but it's probably going to take a little bit of time. Put it on long format on YouTube just to cover everything that I wanted to cover. And this video essentially is for anybody who was inquiring about what I do on competition days for my nutrition and my hydration. What we kind of do for clients as well, from guys just fairly kind of starting out to a bit more kind of national, international level as well, is give you a bit of an insight into sort of my approach, into my thoughts, into why we do the things that we do, and the sort of things that I'll be advising clients to do as well. This is just coming off the weekend of the UKNS Worlds at Edinburgh in the Oriam. So yeah, it was just something that was commented a few times, and the last couple of competitions, it's been really kind of prevalent that, without sounding like an arrogant arse, like prevalent that I've finished really well. The last couple of events that I needed to do well in, felt generally brand new, really good, gone for an extra 30 seconds, 40 seconds, whatever. So yeah, just want to kind of share that with everybody. Got a few questions asked about it. So there's no crazy magic potions and tricks. I'm a natural athlete as well, masters athlete at that. So yeah, just going to share with a few thoughts. It's not intended to be this is what I do, so this is what you need to do. This is more a case of, this is what I do. There'll be some things you can take from it, but every client will be slightly different depending on their preferences, food history, tolerances, you name it, okay? It's not about changing everybody's nutrition and diet to sort of align to this gold plethora of food options, or to try carbon copy what I'm doing, okay? Because it just won't work. It needs to work for you, or it needs to work for my kind of clients. So when clients come forward, we do a food diary, we look at what they're doing, their food preferences, and look where we can make changes. Ideally, we look for the big fundamental changes first, and then we can start kind of tweaking things into this a bit more ideal, perfect scenario, which is kind of really the case where we can actually be like a full-time professional athlete. But what we can do is know what we need to focus on, know where we can make easy wins and easy gains, and just level up their nutrition and your nutrition, as well as ultimately basically podium and winning comps. So that's it. So 2 minutes in already. I'm going to try and rattle through this. I do talk fast, so if there are any thoughts, any questions afterwards, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. So yeah, I'm just going to dive in. Notepad handy if you like, whatever. Let's just get stuck into it, okay? So first of all, generally do this arse about face. So food is always first, right? 100% food is first. But I'm going to tell you what my supplements are for the last couple of weeks, okay, leading into the comp. So I was using creatine, citrulline malate, vitamin D, omega-3, and a multivitamin, okay? I do have a free supplement guide for strength athletes on my Instagram bio. So feel free to check it out, to use as much as you wish. I have supplements that are like an essential and supplements that are like an optional, okay? And I would strongly recommend that you get onto the essential ones. They're the ones with all the research, all the backing, all the efficiency, all the data, everything that you kind of need, okay? So in terms of spending your kind of money, taking a couple of clients on before where it's like 10, 15 different things that they're kind of taking. We don't need to be down that kind of point. If your food is good, it sets a really great standard. But there are supplements there that can definitely help, not only performance-wise, recovery-wise, but nutrition-wise, in terms of health-wise as well. So feel free to check that out. So yeah, first things first. So obviously we're going to talk about competition day, exactly what I personally kind of packed for the 2 days. So this event was a 2-day event, 4 events each day, obviously 8 events total. But before we kind of get to that part, I think it's worthwhile touching on this part, because it's something that, I've been a nutrition coach for 10 years now. I've been competing in strongman for pretty much 7 years. Previous history was pretty much A-grade rugby for fucking 30 odd years or so. It's quite prevalent that, we need to think about nutrition other than competition day, or like the day before dinner, or the breakfast on the day, and then like we pack up our cooler bag, we pack up our gym bag with some foods and treats, and we think, right, nutrition for comp day is sorted, okay? Yeah, it is for comp day, okay? But you're missing so much if you don't pay attention to your nutrition on your training days or your 8, 10, 12 week block of leading up to a competition that you've signed up for, you've got a training program for, you've been busting your balls for, you've taken time off, social events or whatever else, you've time, effort, commitment, you've been training hard for this, and then nutrition is like a bit of an afterthought, right? And it will tell. So what I'm trying to kind of say is that think about particularly on your training days, your nutrition on your training days. And why? Well, it's fucking obvious, because you can maximize your training sessions. If you're going to blast the body, smash the workout, whatever you want to kind of say about being in the gym for 2-3 hours sometimes, you need to make the most of the training session, okay? If your nutrition is shit on a training day, you will leave reps behind, you will leave weight behind. When your coach has programmed you perhaps to do whatever, 6 reps something, and you struggle to hit that 6 rep, or it should really be of an RPE of 8, but you're making all the faces in this RPE of 9 or 10 because your energy is shit, and you haven't got any viable glucose and carbs running in the body to help you through this kind of session, and that kind of monster ran out fucking half an hour ago after your warm-up sort of thing. So you've got to maximize your training potential when you are training, and you can only do that with really great nutrition. Okay, it sounds a bit obvious, but yeah. So what that looks like, really think about protein and carbs. Okay, if you train, just for generic argument's sake, you train in the evening, 7 o'clock or something like that, breakfast can be literally nearly enough anything, okay? Personally, I go for either a cereal or scrambled eggs on toast, okay? One of those options. Then always add a yogurt to it. I have a bit of fruit with it. I have a big power smoothie with it, and I have a little bit of fresh orange juice with it, okay? That's generally like the bulk standard breakfast. When it comes to like lunch and snacks before kind of training, I start thinking a bit more about protein, carbs, okay? Why? Because fats take a long time to clear the gut, and protein and carbs is your performance, strength, muscle gaining macronutrients, okay? They are, everything. Protein is all about building muscle and maintaining muscle. Carbs is a protective barrier so we don't break down muscle tissue to fuel our body for like workouts, to provide the energy. We want the carbs there to be that source, right? That fuel source, that fuel tank to give us the energy. We want the protein there to allow us to build muscle tissue that we are stressing every time we step into the gym. Those two things work in tandem, and they work really, really well. And in fact, they work better when you kind of eat them together, okay? So yeah, before training, 3 hours out, try like a bigger meal. And again, that can be it can be sandwich, it can be chicken sandwich, it can be wraps, it can be baked potatoes and like baked beans or tuna or whatever else, okay? It's just general, normal, good food. Maybe an hour before, then you can think about maybe a bit of yogurt, a bit of fruit, a whey shake, something like that. Maybe 100 grams, 150 grams worth of chicken, a small tin of tuna, something like that. You want something in the kind of body. During the session, I highly recommend an intra-carbohydrate drink, okay? You can buy like a hydration drink from bulk powders and many other places as well, okay? Energy drinks with electrolytes in it and readily available carbohydrates. A little bit better than Monster. It'll be cheaper, it'll be easier to do, and you can top up it with citronellulose. You can top it up with electrolyte powder in it as well. You can kind of make your own little concoction, as it were. All right, cheaper, easier, much better than just relying on a kind of Monster. Not have anything against Monster, but you know what I mean. That kind of quick to go fix. So you have energy fuel during that workout while you're smashing your body for 2 hours in the gym. You're having an intra-carb drink. For quick reference, your body can digest up to 60 grams of carbohydrates. If you add fructose to that, it's up to 90 grams of carbs per hour, okay? So think about the amount of intra-carb drink you can have like in a liter of a liter water bottle, okay? And that 30 to 60 grams is gonna make a big difference to your workout, okay? And then afterwards, like recovery meal, again, protein, carbs, vegetables, right? It's the potatoes, it's the meat, it's the fish, all these kind of basic things. Again, not to be too prescriptive, but to give some people a bit of structure. Sometimes, generally what I kind of think about is working for 3-day cycle. So Monday night dinner, would be chicken or turkey. Tuesday night dinner will be a fish. It'll be salmon or just white fish. Wednesday night dinner will be beef. So it'll be a steak, it'll be beef mince, beef burger, something like that. And you just add the potatoes or the rice or the pasta to any one of those dishes, and it all just seems to kind of build itself. Make sure there's always vegetables in there, and then throw down a protein yogurt, before you go to bed or something like that. Brilliant, easy as, okay? But protein, carbs, as soon as possible afterwards, always kind of helps. So yeah, in terms of kind of calories, depending on the size of you, the amount of muscle tissue you have and your body weight, anywhere between an extra 300 to 600 calories on a training day, mostly made up of protein and carbs, is going to make a big difference. And if you think about a 12-week block, and the power of accumulation, okay, it's like compound interest almost. 3 sessions per week as a minimum, okay, 3 sessions per week over 12 weeks. 3 times 12, 36, right? 36 sessions that you can either have a great session, moderate session, or a shit session, right? If you have the majority, 30 out of 36 are going to be great sessions, it's a fucking no-brainer as to how you're going to be performing come competition day, all right? If you have 10 shit, 10 good, 10 medium, you're leaving weight behind, you're leaving performance behind, you're leaving training adaptation behind. So think about that, okay? It's just something. So I know I sound a bit ranty on it. I'm giving you a sort of a row for it, but something I'm really kind of passionate about, and you can make really quick, easy gains on it, okay? For this competition, as I said, this was a 2-day competition. So for myself, I loaded up pretty much for 2 days carb loading beforehand. Generally, the research and the science says that for most people, 1 day will suffice. Depending on the size of my client or athlete, I will either opt for 1 or 2 days. If we have the opportunity to test it out before a big competition, with a kind of smaller competition perhaps, or a bit of a training day, then we can test out just, how does it work? Stomach, and gut, is it all right? Too much bloating, too much this, all these kind of things. And again, you can tweak it before you come to sort of comp day. So 1 day will definitely do, but for some people, depending on the comp, depending on the size of the athlete, a 1.5/2 days is a little bit better, okay? It just covers all the bases. Generally, you're aiming for, so this is the guidance, okay? Generally, you're aiming for 8 to 10 grams of carbs, so 8 to 10 grams of carbs per kilogram body weight, okay? So for myself, 120 kilo athlete times 8, it's in the 4 figures, okay? It's 1,000 plus. What is it? Yeah, I think it is, yeah. So generally, from previously doing a lot of these things over the years, I know that 800 grams is a really great target for me. I can wake up feeling absolutely fucking fantastic with 800 grams of carbs. So that's been my kind of target, particularly for these 2 days. Protein drops a little bit less than normal. Fats, try to kind of drop it down a little bit where I can, and it's all about the kind of carbs. Here, it's an opportunity to eat a lot of treat foods, okay, low satiety foods, so foods that are low in fiber, because it's not about health. Right now, for this day, for carb loading day, it's about getting as much fuel into your body as you can, all right? And things like muffins, donuts, chocolate milk, anything that's quite treaty, okay, it tastes really good, that's palatable, that's really tasty, and not good for you, it's probably gonna be a good idea, okay? Of course, you want some fruit in there for a bit of fiber to keep the gut kind of moving. You're gonna want a little bit of vegetables in there, or a little bit of fruit, a little bit of vegetables. But generally, every meal that you have, just think about, how can I maximize my carb intake here? Can I have a half liter of juice with it, a half liter of like fresh orange juice? Can I have a wee cheeky donut after my breakfast or my lunch or my dinner? It all adds up, okay? And muffins and donuts, generally, you're talking like 40, 50 grams worth of carbs. So it's not long before you can rack up some decent numbers. With that, hydration, fuel intake needs to go up as well, because carbs are hydrophilic, so it can draw water into the muscle cell, and we know that water is pretty essential to kind of life. If you're sweating, perspiring, you need water. Water helps a lot of chemical reactions within the body. Essential, okay? Absolutely essential for performance as well. So, that's carb loading in a nutshell. With clients, they get a competition hydration, nutrition kind of protocol. They also get a carb loading sort of guidance with some tips and tricks as well. But I've kind of shared a few of those with you already, okay? Carb loading. Just got to think about it. Your body can store, again, depending on the size of you and how much muscle tissue you have, you can store carbs as muscle glycogen, in your muscle tissue as well as your liver, okay? So on those days, you want to try to be fairly low active as you can and maximize the storage. Analogy, really simple, think of it as your car's petrol tank, okay? You want to top it up to the top. You want to be overflowing, okay? You want to maximize that fuel tank for the next day, because generally, going by experience and going with the clients we've been working with for the last 6 months, it is a case where a lot of comps are getting really quick in between. There's a bit of nerves. Don't really feel like eating because you've just come off a, sandbag fucking hell medley or something stupid and you're blowing out your ass. You don't really want food. So it's just snacks and it's just liquids, okay? So you're not going to have much chance once you start competing to like, oh, I'm going to have a great lunch and this will save me or this will help me for my afternoon session, something like that. It's not going to happen. So you need to be full up by overnight and you're going to sleep. Fast is a fancy word, but you're going to fucking sleep for 8 hours, okay? Wake up in the morning, go to the business in the kind of toilet, and your muscle body is going to be full of water and full of carbs and full of kind of fuel. You're going to look good, you're going to feel good, and it takes the pressure off of thinking, I now need to eat a big fuck off breakfast because I've got a strongman competition to do or 5 or 6 events that day, okay? All we need to do on that breakfast is think about having something that you have literally all the time that you know is not going to cause any stomach upset, that you can reduce the portion if you need. So it's a smaller bowl of cereal, it's a smaller bowl of a little bit of porridge, it's just 2 eggs instead of 3 or 4 or whatever it may be, it's 1 slice of toast, it's a smaller, whatever it may be, all right? Have something that you normally and always have. You don't need to stress about throwing in the carbs or, trying to like catch up a bit of nutrition on the day. You can just relax, get a nice cup of coffee, start thinking about the events, because the nerves will be happening, all that kind of stuff. You might need to travel or catch a train or drive somewhere and figure out where you are, all that kind of stuff, So you don't want nutrition to be a forefront of your mind on competition day, okay? So I ranted about that enough. So on competition day, tips and tricks for myself, as it were, is I know what works well for my kind of self. Something that I'll kind of say is if you're planning on saying you're going to have, I don't know, just, I don't want to use chicken or rice, but chicken or rice or creamed rice, okay, as your main kind of lunch or your bigger meal. Have other things there as well with different texture and different flavors. So what I'm saying is you might not feel like, as you think to yourself, right, I'm going to have chocolate rice crispy bars, right? Those little kind of rectangle bars, all right? I'm going to have them as my in-between event snack. But what happens just if you're not feeling in a chocolatey mood, okay? Say if you want something a bit salty or a bit more savory, it's good to have a couple of different little options that all serve the similar purpose, but different texture, different taste, some sweet, some savory, some liquid, okay? It just gives you a few options where, if I'm not feeling like a bit of a pretzel, if I'm not feeling like white bread, then I can have this cereal bar, right? If I don't like the cereal bar, I can have this low-fat yogurt, okay? If I don't like whatever else, just gives you a few options. It means it takes a bit more prep, but that's what we do, okay? So I mixed up 2 bottles, pre-mixed bottles of cyclic dextrin. So it's just a type of kind of dextrose and glucose energy drink. So it's a liter and a half, pre kind of made up, roughly about 60 grams in both, and 1 little teeny tiny teaspoon of electrolytes as well. Okay, so again, for bulk powders, electrolyte powder, a little teaspoon into there. Also took in Tupperware, again, intra drink, just in case you need to top up, and I took a 2-liter bottle of just plain water. Okay, so that's literally 4.5 liters worth of fluids and kind of water. So I don't need to think about going to the cafe. I don't need to think about somebody giving me a Lucozade run or a coffee run or anything like that. Got everything with you, just a little bit of planning and a little bit of prep. The plain kind of water there is obviously if I just want something that doesn't taste like anything, just plain kind of water. If I need to mix up more energy drink, I have a Tupperware with that solution, that powder there already. I've got water there. I can just put into my juice bottle if I did finish one of them, okay? A little bottle full of like pre-workout as well. And that was it. So a couple of cereal bars, a couple of Rice Krispie bars, 1 tin of cream rice and a big dollop of strawberry jam. 2 little, I normally have the Thins white bread, but there wasn't any white bread in the shop, so I got 2 little white bagels instead, just a bit of jam on them, and it's pretty much it. Jelly babies, obviously, and I think it was it. A couple of pre-workout little gels, and that was it, okay? yeah. What I did do on the first kind of day, and again, this is just me when I get into my competitive head. Once the last event was kind of done, I did not hang around and chat and talk shit and talk about tomorrow and what would happen could have been and what was whatever. Okay, got in my car and I went home, and because I had extra food with me, which was all part of the kind of greater plan, is that I could munch on the sandwiches that I did not touch, and I could have a cereal bar that was left and a dairy milk chocolate bar, I forgot to mention, on the way home. Okay, so by the time I've got home, this is between 5:30 and 6:30, I've already eaten about 150 grams worth of carbs and about 30-40 grams worth of protein. Okay, before I got home, jumped in the ice bath, aka the whiskey barrel, the huge whiskey barrel I've got, and then came in, sorted the bag out, prepped for tomorrow, blah blah blah, chatted with the coach, and then thought about dinner. Okay, nice big beef steak, some potatoes, some veg, normal kind of meal, good solid meal, and that was it. Okay, in my bed by before 10 o'clock. Okay, South Africa Ireland game was on, much as the Irish friends reminded me. I didn't watch the first half because I want to get my head into the game and get into bed. So next morning, again, I didn't need to think about, I need to have a big breakfast, small breakfast again, back the same. And my meals were exactly the same bag. So it was just kind of doubled. It was just that times 2, okay? So yeah, I just want to touch on the whole kind of carb thing. So, it takes away from thinking about the big breakfast, think about the big lunch or something like that. Because what you're doing, if you think about your energy levels, start pretty much maxed out, okay? First event, whatever it may be. We'll just use the ones that are top of my head, right? Squat for reps, dip down into energy stores because you're squatting for 60 seconds, okay? Then all you're thinking about doing is just topping it back up. It's little and often, right? It's maintenance. So you dip back into it, top it up a little bit, okay? Now whether it's a little bit of food, 500 mils of my energy drink, that's 30 grams of carbs right there that I don't need to think about chewing or eating. So carbs come back up, okay? Second event, dips down, same again, light snack, cereal bar, 500 mils of that energy drink, like over the hour leading up to the next event, okay? I don't sit there just pounding down a pint of energy drink, right? 200 mil, 100 mil, whatever, okay? It's just spaced out, but it goes into the body, right? So again, down, up, down, up, down, up. That's the kind of point I'm talking about. It's maintenance. It's topping up the energy tank throughout the day with clever little snacks that you like, you can stomach, okay? And then using hydration drink smartly, well, and maximizing what your body can do. As I said, up to 60 grams of carbs can be digested per hour. So maximize that. A banana is not going to cut it, just a banana, okay? Bananas are great, brilliant, nothing against bananas, but you need to add to that over that hour that you might have. Now, of course, you're not going to want to eat a big meal. This is why we kind of use these things. Jelly babies as well. I think it's 4 little jelly babies or about 20 grams of carbs. Yeah, that's pretty decent, So yeah, touched on that. At food between comp, I think I've actually really touched on. Get that fuel back into the body as soon as you can, and then space it back out. So instead of just going home and having one dinner, I in effect had 2 dinners. I had a pre-dinner on the way home at 6 o'clock or so, and then again at about 7:30, 9 o'clock had another full-on dinner. And that's it, I think, in terms of nutrition. No real great secrets there, but I don't want to keep using kind of myself as a reference, but it's the Brits that we had through in Galway, it was really hot, it was really tiring, people were just getting zapped. Had to make sure, last 2 events felt fucking fantastic. Again, this competition here, much the similar, chasing down kind of first place, had to be really, really on it for the last 2 events, and that happened. And similarly kind of before, from other competitions years ago. So it does make a difference for clients as well, have all commented on how well they felt, no cramping, before, perhaps in a hot arena, bit of cramp, bit of this, and they're just drinking kind of water, and you can make the intervention and go, just drinking water is great, but you need electrolytes, you need carbs. Oh, I don't want to eat, right? Well, what can you eat? And again, I use the foods that I like, cereal bar, bit of cream rice, a little bit of chocolate, something like that, a couple of jelly babies, whatever it may be. And thinking about more, comp days here, carb loading is here, and then there's this 10, 12 week preps up here, right? The more better, the better you prep up leading to it, then the better place you'll be in come comp day, if that makes sense. And that's it. So wrapped up, nearly 25 minutes. This will be on YouTube, so feel free to drop us a message, like it if you found some value in it. If you get this through Instagram, then drop me a message if you've got any thoughts, any questions. I'll feel free to happily help out where I can. And if you're obviously interested in some nutrition coaching, then drop me a message as well, and we can take it from there. That is it. 25 minutes up. See you around. Thank you.